Good morning. It is morning for me. And welcome to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business Podcast. My name is Kara Buntin, and I've had a home-based business since 1999, so that's what we talk about here. And today I want to talk about big butts again. And I've talked about big butts before. Now, this comes from Pee Wee Herman's first, was it Pee Wee's Big Adventure, right? When he's sitting in the giant T-Rex with Simone, and Simone says, "My dream has been to live in Paris, France." And Pee Wee says, "Well, you can do that tomorrow. I mean, you can move there." And she says, "Yeah, but..." And he says, "Simone, everyone I know has a big butt. Let's talk about your big butt, Simone." Okay, now I love that so much because everybody does have a big butt. And also it's a butt joke, so it's funny. But, okay, and every time I say the word butt now, I'm very conscious of it. And the reason for that is that everybody does have big butts. And your big butts are what stop you from doing things. Because the big butts are when you start telling yourself things that you would never tell your friends. And what I mean by that, and the reason that this came up is the last, and I'm recording this ahead of time. I might, I don't know when I post these. I do a whole lot in one time. I batch things, which is one of the things that we were talking about in this conversation. But during the eShop Success workshops, we have workshops like a Q&A every week where we all talk about different things that are going on. And one of the members had posted that she was having trouble getting things done, and she just wanted to talk about prioritizing. Okay, like how to prioritize what things you have to do. And she mentioned, I'm not even going to say how many things she had. And she knows who she is. If you're watching this, you know who you are. I'm not going to call you out because this is so common for everyone. You're not alone, right? And I think that if you recognize yourself in this story, please post under in the comments of this video because you'll see how many other people are in exactly the same situation. And I would guess that it's all of us. All of us have something, okay? So, but she said that she had a large number of things that she had made and had not listed yet because she likes making the things better and not listing them, because when it comes time to list them, you have to take perfect pictures and it takes so long. And as we were talking about this, I said, how many things do you have? Did I see that correctly? And she got some good advice from some other people in the group before the live started. But as we were talking, I'm like, I'm calling you out on this because this is nuts. She has so many things, and she's like, "Yeah, but..." And I'm like, no. Okay. Whenever I hear the word "yeah, but," it means I see what you're saying is true. However, I'm now going to tell you why that is not going to work for me, even though it's true. I know that it's true, but I'm going to find some reasons why that won't work for me. And that's your big but. Okay. Now, in this situation, it was kind of a matter of, realizing that you can't be perfect. So it was kind of like perfectionism rolled in with not wanting to do something you don't like doing. But we all do this. Everybody does this. This is not unusual. This is not unique to one person. And I think that we don't talk about it enough. And that's why you think that you're the only one. People say, "Oh, but everybody else seems to be so efficient." So that's why they want to talk to other people. Like, how do you prioritize? What do you do? What's your system? And one of the things that, and I will say, and I've spoken about this in the group, and I've posted about it in the group Facebook page so far, that she was a very good sport about I felt kind of like I was attacking her, but I know that she could take it. She's a mature, grown woman who has the maturity level to understand what she's doing and to be able to reflect on it. Okay. And you know how sometimes when you're talking to somebody, and this happens most of the time to me, when you're talking to someone and they're saying things and you're trying to be nice, and I say that on this podcast a lot, I'm trying to be nice about it. But you're trying to be nice, and so you don't say what you really think. And you don't say just the blunt truth because it's going to come across too harsh. In this conversation, that was out the window. And I was like, no. You need to focus on getting those things listed, and that's it. Everything else gets put aside until those things are listed. And you need to change the way that you think about listing things so that it doesn't have to be quote unquote perfect, because nothing is perfect. And I could have given myself the same advice. I probably have things over here. Well, I don't have things to list right now. And during this conversation, I actually did go over to my website, and I showed her all these things that I had listed that had terrible photographs, because I just wanted to get the listing up so that I could have a link to use on Pinterest. Okay. So, sometimes you don't have to do things in the same order. And she was thinking, I can't do anything until I get the perfect photos. And that's really the sticking point. So she needs to get past that, and she knows that. But as we're talking, she would say, yeah, but. I'm like, no. And I seriously started yelling at her. I let it rip. But it could have been anyone else in the group, because we all do the same thing, is the point. And we posted about it in the Facebook group later. There were so many people who said, this helped me too. Or I do the same thing you do. This is not an uncommon thing. Everybody has something that they hate doing, or that is just their process for doing it is so bad, and you don't see it, you don't realize it. So my challenge to you all, number one, think about what you do, right? I have to think, probably I have this big stack of stuff over here that I really need to cut up and list. It's really the listing, isn't it? It's listing things. It's horrible. It's because it's just, there's so many steps that go into it, but you just have to get past it. You have to just put your head down and do it. And if it takes you 3 months, then that's fine. And when I reworked my website it was at the beginning, I want to say it was about 2 or 3 years ago. It must have been, it was at least 2.5 years ago. Okay. And I had to move, excuse me, I'm trying to think. It was either when I listed everything on Go Imagine. No, this was my website, because there was more that went into it. I had to redo a whole bunch of listings, because the template that I was using wasn't 100% compatible with the old template. And so I had to move a lot of things around. So I had to go through every single listing, and I had like 800 listings on my website. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to do 10 listings a day, and it's going to take me 80 days. So I knew it was going to take me 3 months, and I think it was probably 850. So it's going to be more than 3 months or 2 months. It was going to be 3 full months of working on this. But as long as you chip away at it, you do a little bit every day, then that's fine. And I think there were days where I just sat down and worked on that, and that's it. But oh my God, you know what that's like, right? So the thing about running your own business, and this is a great thing for us, because you can make your own schedule. There's no deadlines as far as tasks that you have to do. But the fact is that when we're in that kind of an environment, we tend to not give ourselves tasks to do. And that's the one thing about home-based business, is that if you wake up every morning and you say, what am I going to do today? That's not good. Okay. That's the one thing that's different about a home-based business, is that you wake up every morning and you can do any number of things. And, you have the freedom to do that, because there's really no deadlines. Really, the only thing you have to do is fill orders and get those out if they've come in. But everything else is kind of, you pick and choose what you want to work on. But there are certain things that you have to work on a consistent basis, or else everything else just, you don't get the orders. The orders don't come in. So what I would suggest, and at one point during this conversation, I said something about prioritizing. Here, I need some caffeine. Hold on. I just woke up, y'all. This is unfiltered. Okay. I jumped out of the shower. I dried my hair. I'm like, let's record before I even start thinking I'm going to be nice about this. And now I forget what I was going to say. Oh, prioritizing. Okay. At one point during the conversation, she said, well, I do want to talk about prioritizing. And a couple people started talking about the systems that they use. And she started saying, oh, that sounds interesting. And I'm like, no. And I was like, no. Because I saw what was happening. And this is what we all do, is that, you have to have a system. You need a system. The system that you have isn't working. And what you do is you start looking around for a different system, instead of looking at what you have sitting right in front of you that you could be working on, right? So you're kind of adding something else. You're like, I need a better system, and that will fix my problems. It's the same kind of thing. If I only lose 30 pounds, my life will be perfect. No, if you look around for a different system, you'll have that time wasted that you've put into looking for a different system. And that is now going to be your focus instead of what you should be working on. And eventually that system isn't going to work because you're still not focusing on what you should be working on, and the work isn't going to get done. And then you blame the system instead of you not doing the work. So what you need to do, and here's your new system. If you have, but the thing is that everybody knows, we all know this. You just have to do the work. That's it. It comes down. You just have to do the work. And what's the thing that's going to make you money? All right. That's the thing. If you're running a business, you need to do the thing that's going to make you the money. And in our case, if we're making products to sell, then it's to list the products that we have ready. So if you don't have any products that you have ready to sell, you need to make some. Or if you just make them when the orders come in, that's great. But if you have a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting around waiting to be listed, then list it. And I did say that I went over during this conversation, I said, let me show you my website, because I seriously had been doing some Pinterest pins. I doing some video pins for Pinterest. I was printing the stuff. I took the videos. I edited the videos. I was going to pin them. Then I realized I hadn't listed them on my website, so I didn't have a link to put in the pin. So I was like, okay, well, I could either push all this aside and wait until I have time to take the perfect picture, and then I'll put those on my website, and then I'll come back and pin that pin. Or I can just slap up the shady pictures that I have, and they're bad. I can slap those up on the website, and I can worry about taking better pictures later. And that'll give me the link, and then I can finish these pins, which I'm working on right now. And that's what I did. So I went ahead and I listed all this stuff real quick. I didn't worry about the pictures being great. They're dark, they're shady, but they're in the pin video. And if people see that on Pinterest, they can go over and see that's what it is. They're not going to examine it that close, right? So I got the link. I put it up. The pictures are crap, but I'm going to go back and fix those, and I'll probably do it this week. But it's not critical that everything be super, super perfect before you get it done. And the thing about this is that we see the flaws that nobody else sees. Whenever I delivered a wedding cake once. This was actually kind of funny. This reminds me. I delivered a wedding cake, and people will say, "Oh, I love your shirt," and you're immediately like, "Oh, it has a stain over here. You can't see this hole. There's a hole." You know all the flaws, but people just look at it and say, "That's nice. I like that," right? Because they're looking at the whole thing. They're not looking at the little tiny imperfections that you see, but they don't. I delivered a wedding cake, and I delivered it. The groom was there. He's hanging around waiting for the ceremony. And he said, "Oh, this cake is so nice." He says, "It has your fingerprints all over it." And I thought he was complaining. I was like, "Oh my God, I touched the cake?" Because that's a bad thing. That's bad, right? You don't want flaws on the cake. My brain immediately went to, there are so many problems with this cake, and he happens to have seen the one fingerprint that I accidentally left I must have touched the cake somewhere. And I was like, where, what is it? And he said, no, I just mean it's got like your artistic touch. It's got your fingerprints on it. And I was like, oh my God, you freaked me out. But that's the kind of thing that we do to ourselves, right? We see all the things that someone else sees the big picture. They say, "This is beautiful. I love this." We say, "Well, that one color didn't print exactly the way that I thought it would. Are you sure you like it?" And by the time you're done, you've talked them into not liking it. You've talked them into seeing the flaw. But if they just, looked at it, they're like, "Oh, I love this. This is great. These look great." That happens to me all the time. I'll say, "Oh my God, I don't know if this," because they'll send me a message. "This is what I'm looking for." And I'll try to get it right. And I'm like, "I don't know if this is exactly what they're talking about." And I'm worried. And I'm thinking, "Oh, this is wrong." And they send me a message back, say, "This was the cutest cake ever." So I'm like, okay, but you have to understand that nobody sees the same things that you do. And we always see the worst because we're the perfectionists about our own products, but nobody else is. Nobody else is. And yeah, every now and then you'll get somebody who complains about something, but that's just normal. But in general, most people don't see the flaws that you see. And that's one of the things that holds us back. Because like with me posting these horrible pictures, I'm like, people are going to see this picture. They're going to say, "Oh my God. No, I don't. I'm just going to post it. I'm going to get the link. I'm going to finish the pins." And the pins are getting traction. So there you go. But you have to be aware of how you're talking to yourself. And I said during this conversation, if the things that you're saying to yourself about this, like this isn't good enough, it's not perfect enough. If your friend was doing this same thing and you're standing there next to her watching her do it, would you say those to her? And if the answer is no, then why are you saying it to yourself? So you have to kind of take a step back and think about, how am I talking to myself? Am I putting too much pressure on myself to do this? And is it holding me back from actually finishing what I'm doing? That's the first thing. The second thing is that you need to have some kind of a list of things that you have to do every day. And when I did wedding cakes, this is a really good example. I knew that on Mondays, I had to plan for the week. That was my planning. I had to make sure I had everything ready. I had to make sure I had all of the flowers that were going to go on the cakes made or in process. I had to make sure everything was set. Tuesday, I did my shopping. Wednesday, I prepped ingredients. Thursday, no, I think Wednesday I did something else. I probably worked on decorations, right? Thursday, I prepped ingredients, and I would get all the dry ingredients and mix them for every cake and put them in Tupperware and just label them like, this is for this cake, it's this, whatever. So I knew what size pans to use. I knew what flavor the cake was. Friday, I did the baking. No, it's true. Wednesday, I prepped. Thursday, I baked. Friday, I decorated. Saturday, I delivered. Okay, so I've forgotten my schedule, but yeah, you do things on a certain day. You do things in a certain order. You're going to do that for every single thing that you do. And if you know every single day, I have to spend, some time doing this, I have to spend some time doing that, I have to spend some time doing that, you're not going to wake up and say, what am I going to do today? You know what you're going to do today because you're running a business and you have to work that way. You have to have some kind of a schedule where you know what you're going to do every day. What I would suggest, because we do work from home and we have the flexibility to do what we want to do, but we still have things we have to do, is that you have things that you have to do every day. And in this person's case, it would be list some of her things, right? Because she's got so many things backlogged. Just I have to list 5 things. I have to list 10 things, whatever you want to do. Give yourself time to get all that done. It's going to take a month. It's going to take 2 months, whatever the time is. That goes on your schedule first. It's the first thing you have to do every day before you can do anything else. Then you have some other things, maybe 10 minutes you're going to post on social media or whatever, whatever your schedule is. And then after that, do the things you want to do. Okay. But your priority should be to do the things that have to get done first. Just get them off your schedule because that's the only schedule that you need. Do the things you have to do. Okay. Don't spend money you don't have and do the things you have to do and you'll be fine. But you need to follow that schedule. And you don't need a massive system for it. You need a calendar. You need to write down, this is what I have to do every day, and write 5 things that you have to do every day before you can do anything else. And those are the things that move your business forward and make you money. Those are the things that make you money, all right? If you can streamline those processes by reusing listings that are similar and have sold already, that's great. That means you can list a little faster. But you have to do the things that make you money first, and then you can go do other stuff, right? So that's the only system you need. And as soon as you say to yourself, I would do this, but stop. When you hear that word coming out of your head into your own head, but, especially, yeah, but, if you start saying that, then you need to stop and think to yourself, would I say this to my friend? Would I tell my friend this? If my friend was in this situation, you know what she would need to do, right? I think that we all know what we need to do. It's just a matter of doing it. And it's hard because there's a lot of stuff we like to do. And the stuff that we don't like to do is usually the stuff we have to do. But just get that done first. And then you don't have to worry about it. And don't think you have to, like I said, don't think you have to do everything right now. Give yourself 3 months. I gave myself 3 months and I got it done. And I didn't enjoy it, but I worked on it a little bit every day and you chip off and it's done. All right. So leave me any questions, but if you heard yourself in any of this, please leave a comment because I think that we could all feel better if we know that other people are in the same situation. And I know that we are. I know that everybody feels this. Everybody goes through this either constantly or just at some point. But we all think that we're the only ones who are inefficient and we're not getting the work done. It's very common. Everybody feels this way. So leave me a comment, give this video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.